What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dre and this is Dre Created. And honestly, I had a different vision for this video. I did not think that this would be the outcome of today's video. I live in a pretty chaotic household. I had plans to really increase the quality for this video. I got some new equipment and I really just wanted to come back on here and be consistent with posting and really being more mindful of the kind of content that I was putting out. I really want to bring value to my audience. I want to provide substance to the people that watch my content. And I had one of two options. I could have allowed circumstances beyond me to serve as an excuse to not post, or I could have held firm to my objective. I could have allowed my circumstances to be an excuse not to post, or I could have made a way for myself to make this video. So that's why we're recording from my car. All of the other content on my page so far has been recorded from my car, and I wanted to change the setting. I have a setup already in place to make content, but it's not the ideal environment to record in. There's a lot of noise. I have dogs in my household and they can be very rambunctious. So it's very hard for me to provide the kind of quality that I want to provide in an environment that doesn't cater to that. So I guess the message of today is do it anyway. And it sounds so cliche. It sounds so overdone, but it's still very relevant to a lot of people. A lot of people, they'll find reasons not to do the things that they said that they would do. And the way that excuses work, excuses are typically valid. Like, it would have been a very valid excuse to not record today. Okay, it's too loud, or, this person's asking for my attention when I had every intention of making content today. I'm too tired to go to the gym, or it would be more convenient for me to eat fast food instead of making a home cooked meal. Excuses are always going to serve the narrative that we're used to living in. It's going to serve our preconditioned way of being. But it's up to you to break those routines. It's up to you to hold yourself accountable and do what you said that you would do. So that's what this video is. I'm doing what I set out to do. I started off the year really strong. It was my mission to be consistent on this channel. It was my mission to create a community of like-minded people. And I fell off. It was so easy for me to fall back into old patterns of not creating content, but consuming a lot of content. And I watched this video recently where this one guy, he talks about how God is calling you to create. Like, you've done enough consuming, you are already comfortable in your role as a consumer. But have you ever wondered what life could look like if you produced more than you consume? It's the same as going to the gym. When you go to the gym, you're burning off energy. You're burning energy. And when you choose to not have a physically active life, you're withholding a lot of excess energy. That typically looks like you gaining weight. So when you're not burning enough energy, you're withholding a lot of energy, and you build up a lot of excess fat. Same thing when it comes down to creation. How much content could you consume before you step into your role as a producer? I feel like it's so important to find a balance between the two. There's nothing wrong with being a consumer of information. There's nothing wrong with consuming content. But I do feel like we have an amazing opportunity living in the age that we do. You have a 4-figure phone at your disposal 24/7. You have access to information that you can make use of to better your life 24/7. But instead of using that information, instead of using technology to better your life, you're choosing to be a Dropbox for garbage half the time. It's entertaining, sure, but how is it beneficial to you? I personally feel like if you can find the means to spend thousands of dollars on a phone, you should be able to use that phone to make yourself thousands of dollars. So, me putting out this content is my way of stepping into my role as a producer. I already know what it feels like to be a consumer. I already know what it feels like to spend hours just doom scrolling. You're watching other people live their lives. You're watching other people take trips. You're watching other people build businesses. You're watching other people bring their dreams to reality. You're watching other people turn their mental into the physical, turn their energy into something tangible. And I feel like everyone should know what that feels like. Everyone, I feel, should know what it's like to be a part of something bigger than yourself. The only way that you're going to build confidence with something is by actually exercising and practicing whatever it is that you want to accomplish. Whenever you start something new, it's always going to feel intimidating because you haven't done it well enough. I remember when I first started going to the gym, almost 5 years now, I've been consistent going to the gym. And when I first started going to the gym, I walked in and I just felt like everybody was staring at me. I felt like my form was wrong. I felt like people were laughing at me, or people were judging me for the way that I fumbled with certain machines. I didn't know how to use certain machines. I didn't have a routine. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand the importance of taking protein. I didn't understand the importance of getting sufficient rest. I didn't know that once you build muscles, even when you're resting, you're burning more calories because of the new muscle growth that you have. My point is, you have to be okay with being uncomfortable. You have to sit with the discomfort that comes with being a beginner. You have to go through the ugly stage, the novice stage of anything that you're contemplating pursuing. And this is what the beginning looks like. This is what the beginning feels like. And then at some point, when you put in enough reps, when you learn through repetition, then it becomes natural. Even now, I feel the difference between the beginning of the year when I put out my first 5 videos. I felt so out of my element talking to a camera. I was in my head about who would see my content, but chances are nobody that I know in my personal life is going to see my content. While I was fixated on the people that could potentially see my content, I disregarded all of the people that I don't know that could see my content, who it could be beneficial to